They say the greatest weapon is not a sword, nor gold, nor armies, it's perception. The ability to see what others overlook, to recognize patterns hidden beneath the noise, to detect the silent intentions behind smiling faces. That is real power. But power, as every wise man learns, is not a gift. It is a test. The one who sees differently does not live among equals. He lives among those who mistake his clarity for madness. Imagine a man standing at the edge of a crowded square. The people cheer, their voices rise in unison, celebrating something they do not fully understand. He watches them, eyes calm, detached, and he sees the flaws in their joy, the cracks in their faith, the lies woven into the fabric of their unity. He sees the puppeteer behind the curtain. The crowd calls him a cynic, a pessimist, a traitor to their belief. But he is none of those things. He is simply awake. And in a world that worships blindness, awakening is an unforgivable sin. Perception, when sharpened, becomes isolation. The more you see, the less you belong. Because perception is not only sight, it is understanding, it is foresight, it is the silent knowledge of what will fall when others still believe it will rise. To perceive truly is to walk ahead of time, and time is a lonely road. Those who walk it often learn to mask their awareness, to speak in riddles, to hide the full light of their understanding behind the dim glow of pretense. The great strategist never reveals how much he sees. He nods when fools speak, smiles when the crowd cheers, agrees when power lies. But in his mind, he measures every word, every gesture, every silence. He reads what others cannot, the motives, the fears, the subtle tremors in the air before the storm. He does not shout his discoveries. He files them away like weapons in a hidden arsenal, waiting for the moment to strike. Because the danger of perception is not just in what you know, it's in letting others know that you know. Those who possess sharp perception often think that by revealing truth, they will be admired. They expect gratitude, perhaps respect. But the world does not reward revelation. It punishes it. The man who sees too deeply becomes a mirror in which others glimpse their own deceit, and no one forgives the mirror for showing the reflection. So they turn on him. They label him arrogant, cruel, manipulative. Yet all he did was see what they refused to. In the courts of princes and the halls of leaders, perception is the difference between survival and ruin. A ruler who cannot perceive the shifting loyalties of his allies is already a doomed man. But a ruler who perceives too much, who sees betrayal before it is born, who recognizes discontent before it grows, is feared even by those who should serve him. Because perception strips away illusion, and illusion is the shield that protects fragile egos and unstable powers. When you see through it, you become a threat. To perceive clearly is to stand in the space between truth and comfort. The comfortable resent the truth, and the truthful despise comfort. So the man of perception learns restraint. He does not announce every insight, he uses them. He guides others without revealing his hand. He bends outcomes to his will, quietly, efficiently. He lets others believe they chose their path, even when every step was laid by his design. In this way, perception becomes the purest form of control. The one who sees controls the one who does not. The one who understands the motives behind men's words can move them like pieces on a board. And while others struggle against events, he shapes them. It is not that he holds more strength, it's that he understands how strength works. But this power is double-edged. The man who sees too much cannot unsee. He detects lies in every smile, ambition in every friendship, danger in every gesture of trust. What once was wisdom becomes paranoia. Every truth exposes another deception. He becomes haunted by the very vision that once empowered him. And yet to turn it off to see as others do is impossible. Once perception sharpens, it cannot be dulled without destroying the self. Those who hold perception as power walk a narrow bridge between mastery and madness. They must learn to use what they know without revealing its depth. They must move pieces on the board while pretending not to see the game. They must speak in half-truths and calculated silences, because the moment they reveal the full extent of their sight, the world brands them as threats, and power quickly becomes peril. Perception, then, is not just seeing what others don't. It is knowing what to do with what you see. It is the ability to act while appearing still, to influence without claiming credit, to understand without explaining. It is not light. It is shadow shaped into strategy. The wise do not seek validation for their vision. They use it to build, to defend, to rule. The crowd follows the visible, the loud, the confident. But those who perceive see beneath the show. They know that power moves silently, that the loudest are rarely in control, and while the blind argue over appearances, the perceptive one directs the stage itself, unseen, unacknowledged, but ever present. That is the quiet tyranny of sight. That is the cost of seeing what others don't. The wise learn early that truth is not a weapon to be brandished. It is a secret to be guarded. To see the world clearly is one thing, but to survive within it is another. The man who reveals too much truth invites destruction. The man who conceals it and bends it toward his purpose commands power. Revelation is a confession. Manipulation is control. In a world built on illusion, it is not the honest who rise, it is the strategist, the one who knows how to play truth like a game of chess, moving it piece by piece until even lies kneel before it. Revelation assumes people want to know the truth. They don't. They want comfort, validation, a narrative that flatters their existence. The moment you reveal something that disrupts their comfort, you become their enemy. People protect their illusions, like kingdoms. They defend them with emotion. They justify them with reason, and they will destroy anyone who dares to question them. That is why the clever do not challenge illusions. They use them. They don't tear down lies. They redirect them. They plant their truths inside familiar forms, dressing wisdom in the clothes of foolishness, so that it walks freely among the blind. Every great manipulator understands this influence is not about forcing others to see what you see. It's about guiding them to believe they saw it themselves. Revelation alienates, manipulation converts. The one who reveals truth is resisted. The one who shapes perception is obeyed. The most dangerous minds in history were never those who shouted the truth from rooftops. They were those who whispered lies that contained fragments of truth, enough to steer men's hearts while keeping their loyalty intact. To manipulate effectively, one must master patience. You cannot impose truth on the unwilling. You must lead them to it slowly, step by step, through emotion rather than intellect. People do not act on reason. They act on fear, on pride, on desire. So the wise do not argue. They arrange. They do not fight against ignorance. They feed it direction. When others are driven by chaos, the manipulator shapes that chaos into opportunity. He does not correct their delusion. He orchestrates it. Revelation demands purity. Manipulation requires adaptability. The revealer stands alone, defiant, proclaiming truth as if the world will suddenly awaken. But the manipulator plays a longer game. He smiles, he listens, he observes, he speaks only what serves his design. Every word becomes currency. Every silence becomes strategy. He allows others to believe they lead, while he gently adjusts the direction of their steps. He never fights the tide. He becomes the current beneath it. Power lies not in truth itself, but in the ability to decide who hears it and when. A fool reveals everything he knows, thinking knowledge itself commands respect. But the world does not respect knowledge. It respects dominance. People follow strength, not accuracy. They submit not to those who know, but to those who appear to control what is known. The art of manipulation is therefore the art of timing. Reveal fragments, conceal foundations, and always leave others feeling as though they discovered something on their own. To manipulate without revealing is to control the narrative before it's spoken. The shrewd leader never says this is the truth. He asks the right questions. He lets others speak themselves into alignment with his purpose. By the time they realize what has happened, they believe the decision was theirs. The manipulator understands that men do not like to be led, but they love to believe they are in control. So he crafts illusions of choice, disguising obedience as independence. Revelation seeks to free others. Manipulation seeks to rule them. And the brutal reality is that the world rewards rulers, not liberators. History remembers those who shaped perception, not those who shattered it. Religion, politics, even love, all are built upon this principle. Control the story, and you control the people. The priest reveals only enough truth to sustain faith. The ruler shares only enough honesty to inspire loyalty. The lover hides enough truth to maintain mystery. Too much exposure kills the illusion that binds hearts and empires alike. The wise understand that manipulation is not deception. It is preservation. To govern a world of chaos, you must first manage its beliefs. Too much truth too soon is anarchy. Too little is tyranny. So you give people the illusion of revelation. A truth softened, restrained, delivered in pieces small enough to digest. The crowd applauds the revelation, never realizing it was a performance. They call you honest while unknowingly obeying the very design you've woven around them. To manipulate is not always to deceive maliciously. Sometimes it is to protect others from truths they are not ready to face. A surgeon does not show the patient his blood. He simply heals. The manipulator operates in the same silence. He shapes outcomes without spectacle, steering the ignorant toward order, without ever admitting how fragile that order is. For if they knew the full truth, the uncertainty, the instability, the cost, they would tear it all down in panic. The clever never underestimate the blindness of men. They crave truth only when it flatters them. They reject it when it condemns them. So the master of manipulation feeds them truths disguised as dreams, commands disguised as choices, power disguised as service. He speaks softly, allows others to think loudly, and while they are busy celebrating their independence, he rearranges the very walls around them. The true danger of revelation is that it exposes both the lie and the liar, leaving the revealer with enemies on every side. But the manipulator, he walks untouched, invisible, protected by the very people he controls. Revelation creates martyrs. Manipulation creates monarchs. And the world, for all its talk of truth, has always preferred its kings. Clarity. It sounds noble, doesn't it? To see things as they truly are. To strip away illusion. To pierce the fog that blinds others. But clarity is not a blessing. It is a sentence. The moment your mind sees the truth behind appearances, you stop living in the same world as everyone else. What they call hope, you call denial. What they call order, you recognize as manipulation. You do not belong among them anymore. You've stepped outside the comfort of illusion, and now you must bear the cold wind of reality alone. There is a strange kind of loneliness in seeing things clearly. You start noticing how easily people are deceived, how eager they are to believe what soothes them rather than what saves them. You watch them celebrate false victories, worship false leaders, chase false happiness. And when you try to warn them, they call you bitter. They say you have lost faith. But what they don't understand is that clarity kills faith. It burns it away like sunlight through morning mist. You cannot unknow what you've seen, and you cannot pretend to be blind once your eyes have opened. Those who live in illusion have something the clear-sighted will never have again: peace. They sleep soundly in ignorance, comforted by the lies that cradle them. The one who sees too much does not sleep. His mind ever rests. Every gesture, every promise, every smile becomes a riddle to be decoded. Clarity turns the world into a web of motives and masks, and you begin to see how fragile everything truly is. The systems men build, the morals they claim, the loyalties they swear, all of it trembles on the edge of self-interest. And once you see that, innocence dies forever. Clarity forces you to face what others avoid, that the world is not guided by justice, nor truth, nor goodness, but by survival. Every act of charity hides ambition. Every declaration of virtue masks a desire for power. Every friendship is a negotiation of convenience. This is not cynicism, it is observation. The clear-eyed man does not hate humanity. He simply sees it without the comforting filters. But that vision comes with a price. When you understand too much, you cannot fully trust. You cannot fully love. You cannot fully belong. You become a spectator in a play everyone else believes is real. The curse of clarity is that it isolates you from emotion. When others are moved by passion, you are analyzing the cause. When they fall in love, you notice the pattern. When they panic, you observe their instincts. It gives you an advantage, yes, but it robs you of innocence. You can manipulate outcomes, predict reactions, even steer events to your favor. But inside, a voice whispers that you have lost something pure, something irretrievable. And yet, would you give it up to be blind again? Most cannot. Once you've tasted truth, illusion feels like poison. In courts, in politics, in the quiet negotiations of everyday life, the man of clarity walks unseen paths. He knows when to speak and when to stay silent. He can tell when admiration hides envy, when loyalty hides ambition, when smiles hide contempt. But clarity demands restraint. You cannot expose everything you see. If you reveal too much, you become a threat. If you explain the truth, you become a heretic. The world is built on shared delusions, and the one who destroys them too openly will be destroyed in return. That is why the wise conceal their clarity behind masks of simplicity. They speak softly. They act humbly. They let others underestimate them. They nod in agreement while their mind runs 10 steps ahead. They understand that power is not in revealing truth, but in knowing when to use it. The curse of clarity is not that others can't see. It's that you must pretend you can't. Every day becomes a performance, a balancing act between perception and pretense. To survive, you must wear the same blindfold you tore off, and smile as if you never saw the light. Clarity also brings an unbearable weight of foresight. You begin to see the consequences before they unfold. You sense the betrayal long before it arrives, the downfall before it begins. You see how empires will crumble, how alliances will fracture, how the crowd will turn against their idols. And though you know what's coming, you can do little to stop it, because to warn them is to be ignored, and to act alone is to be destroyed. So you watch as everything unfolds exactly as you predicted, and you carry the silent frustration of being right too early. Those cursed with clarity rarely find peace among the crowd. They speak a language most do not understand. Their thoughts move through layers that others cannot see. Even in conversation, they stand apart. While others discuss opinions, the clear-eyed one measures motives. While others debate facts, he studies the power behind them. Clarity transforms every interaction into a calculation, every decision into a test of will. The heart grows cold, not from cruelty, but from understanding too much. And yet, clarity is seductive. It promises control, and it delivers it, but not without extracting something vital in return. You may gain mastery over others, but lose your sense of belonging. You may see through every lie, but never again believe in beauty unguarded. The clearer your vision becomes, the more you understand that truth and peace cannot coexist. To live clearly is to live apart, to walk through a world of shadows while others dance in the light, never knowing how close the darkness truly is. They say knowledge is power, but they never tell you what happens when your eyes open too wide, when you begin to see what others cannot. You think it will make you wise, that it will set you free, yet in truth, it makes you dangerous, and dangerously alone. The problem is simple but devastating. What happens when one person sees the truth, while everyone else chooses the comfort of the lie? To see clearly in a world that thrives on illusion is both a gift and a curse. The visionary, the reformer, the rebel, each begins with pure intent, believing that by revealing the truth, they can lift others from ignorance. But every age buries its prophets beneath the stones of its own fear. Those who see what others don't are not celebrated. They are silenced, mocked, or destroyed. For truth disrupts comfort, and comfort is the currency of the crowd. The wise learn this early, that the masses are not moved by truth, but by appearance. A ruler, or anyone who seeks influence, must never reveal the full scope of their insight. To survive among the blind, one must learn to pretend blindness. A clever man conceals his vision, wrapping it in shadows and half-truths, waiting for the moment when knowledge becomes leverage. Vision is not meant to be paraded like a flag. It must be wielded like a dagger. For in politics, in power, in love, it is not truth that commands men but illusion. And those who master illusion rule those who cannot see beyond it. Look to history. Socrates was condemned for asking questions that pierced too deep. Machiavelli himself was exiled for understanding the cruel mechanisms of power. Galileo, forced to deny what his eyes beheld, stood as a warning to all who see too much. The world does not reward vision, it rewards obedience. To see what others don't is to live in quiet exile, even among the living. And so if you are cursed, or blessed with the ability to see beneath the surface, guard that vision well. Use it not to awaken others, but to understand them. Do not waste truth on those who crave comfort. Speak it only when it serves your purpose. The danger of seeing what others don't is not in the vision itself, but in believing that others will thank you for it. Be cunning, be silent, and remember this: To see is to rule, but only the unseen survive.